We continue now at the top of Daf Chav Gimel Amud Beis Meseches Makkos. This is Makkos Daf 23b. The Mishnah continues with the statement of Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon brings the pasuk Asher Yasa Osam Ha'adam V'chai Bohem. It says that the person is going to do the mitzvahs and live by them. Hakol Hayoshe V'lo Avar Aveira. So Rabbi Shimon learns from the fact that this pasuk is near a pasuk talking about keeping away from Aveiras. It teaches that somebody who sits and does not do an Aveira, Nosnin Lo Schar Ka'osa Mitzvah. We give him reward as if he did a mitzvah. Rashi explains Asher Yasa Osam Ha'adam V'chai Bohem V'samach Ish El Kol She'er B'saro D'mashma Misha Osachu Kosai Ani Nosen Chaim Lo. The implication of the pasuk is somebody who follows my laws, I'm going to give him life. V'elu Hein Chukosai. And what are the laws I'm talking about? Ish again, that's talking about a person who's supposed to keep away from arayas. Halamanata Kol Hayoshe Ve'enu Over. We see that somebody who sits and doesn't do the avera, he gets the reward as if he did the mitzvah. And the Mishnah continues, Rabbi Shimon bar Rebbe Omer, Rabbi Shimon the son of Rebbe says, Harei Omer, it says in the pasuk, Rak chazak levilti achol hadam, ki hadam hu anefesh. It says a person has to be strong not to eat blood, because the blood is the soul. And he darshans as follows, Uma'im hadam, shenavsha shaladam katzah mimenu. If when it comes to blood, which a person is disgusted by it, haporish mimenu mekabel schar. If somebody separates from blood, he gets a reward. So gezel v'arayas, when it comes to stealing, when it comes to arayas, illicit relationships, shenavsha shaladam misavelhan, that a person desires them. And again, he has that desire for them. Haporish mehen alachas kama v'kama. If somebody separates from them, all the more so. Sheyizke lo uladorosav uladoros dorosav atsof kol adoros. It will be a merit for him and his generations and the following generations until the end of all generations. And the Mishnah continues, Rabbi Chananya ben Akashi Omer, Rabbi Chananya ben Akashi says, Ratza HaKadosh Baruch Hu lezakos es Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to give merit to Klal Yisrael. Lefikach, therefore, here b'lehem Torah and mitzvahs. He gave them, he increased for them a lot of Torah and mitzvahs. Shenemar, as it says, Hashem chafetz l'man sidko, because of his righteousness, Hashem desires Yagdil Torah v'yadir, to increase Torah. Again, the idea is that by giving a lot of Torah and mitzvahs, there's a lot of opportunities for reward. And the Mefarish explains, Lazakos es Yisrael, to give merit to Klal Yisrael, Kadeshu, Mekabel, and Schar, in order that they'll get reward, B'ameshamonin Atzman min Haveros, even from the fact that they're refraining from doing Haveros, Lafika Achir B'lahen, and that's why he increased it for them. Shelo Yatzarch Litzavos Kama Mitzvahs V'Kama Azharos, Al Shkotzim and Nevelos. HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't need to give all kinds of mitzvahs and warnings, multiple ones, on Shkotzim and Nevelos, She'in Lach Adam, She'in Katzben, nobody's not disgusted, everyone's disgusted by them anyhow. Ela Kadeshu Yikavlu Schar Al Shaporshin, man, it's just in order to receive a reward for separating from them. And the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, Chalukin Olav Chaveirav al Rabbi Chananya ben Gamliel. The colleagues of Rabbi Chananya ben Gamliel, they disagreed with him. Again, Rabbi Chananya ben Gamliel said in the Mishnah that if somebody's chayiv kares and he gets the punishment of Malkus, he no longer gets the kares. And Rabbi Yochanan is saying that the other Tanoim, they disagreed with Rabbi Chananya ben Gamliel about this. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Ada bar Rav, Rav Ada bar Rav says, Amri ve Rav, they said in the yeshiva of Rav Taninon, that we learned in the Mishnah, Ein bein Shabbos liyom HaKippurim, there's no difference between Shabbos and Yom Kippur, except that this one, when you violate it on purpose on Shabbos, the punishment is bidei adam. You get a punishment from the earthly courts. And the punishment by Yom Kippur is kares. It's bidei shamayim. And so the Gemara says, Vimisa. Now, if it is true what Rabbi Chananya ben Gamliel said, idi v'idi bidei adam, who really both of them the punishment is bidei adam, because again, Rabbi Chananya ben Gamliel is saying that really anytime you get kares, you just get malchus, and once you get the malchus, you don't get the kares. So they're both really bidei adam. And the Gemara continues and says, you cannot necessarily bring a proof from this Mishnah that they disagree, that the Tan of this Mishnah disagrees with Rabbi Chananya ben Gamliel. Rav Nachman Omer, because Rav Nachman says, Hamani, who is the author of this Mishnah? Rabbi Yitzchak, the author of the Mishnah, might be Rabbi Yitzchak, Diyamar Malkus b'chayve krisis leka, because Rabbi Yitzchak says there is no Malkus whatsoever by chayve krisis. In other words, he disagrees just fundamentally and says we don't give Malkus. All Rabbi Chananya ben Gamliel was saying was that if we give Malkus, the person no longer gets kares. But within Rabbi Yitzchak's shita, so there's no Malkus anyhow. Maybe that's the author of this Mishnah. The Tanya has been learned in a Brayso. Rabbi Yitzchak Omer, Rabbi Yitzchak says, we quoted this earlier in the Masechta, Chayve krisos bechlal hayu. Again, cases where a person is liable to kares, that was already included in a general rule of the pasuk by Arayas. V'lama yotzas kares b'achosa. Why do we specify kares when a person is with his sister? Laduno b'kares v'lo b'malchus. We're saying that he gets kares and not malchus. Rabbi Yitzchak again holding that Chayve krisos does not get malchus. And the Gemara continues and gives another answer why this Mishnah is not necessarily necessarily against Rabbi Hananya ben Gamliel. Rav Ashi says, Afilu Tamer Rabbanan, you could even say the Mishnah follows the Rabbanan, and all the Mishnah means to say is, Zeh Iker Zedonu Bidei Adam, when it comes to Shabbos, the main punishment is Bidei Adam, Zeh Iker Zedonu Bidei Shamayim, and when it comes to Yom Kippur, the main punishment is Bidei Shamayim, but it could be that if you get Malchus, you won't get that Bidei Shamayim punishment, you won't get that punishment of Kares. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Ada bar Rava, Amar Rav. Rav Ada bar Rava says, the Rav says, Halacha, Rabbi Hananya ben Gamliel. The halacha is like Rabbi Hananya ben Gamliel, that if a person gets Malchus, he's no longer going to get the Kares. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Yosef says, Man solik le'ela v'asav yamar. Who's the one that went up to heaven and found out that there's no more Kares in here, that he could tell us that this is true? It doesn't make sense to say the halacha is like Rabbi Hananya ben Gamliel on something that's completely dependent on Shamayim. Amar le Abaye. So Abaye said to him, to Rav Yosef, what kind of argument is that? Elahad Amar Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi. What about the statement made by Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi? He said that Shlosha Devarim Asu Bezin Shalmati. He said there were three things that were done by the earthly court. V'eskimu Bezin Shalmala al Yadam, and the heavenly court agreed with it. You can ask the same question. Man Salik Le'ela v'asav Yamar. Who's the one that went up to Shamayim? And he came and he told us that the Bezin Shalmala agreed. Ela Kroi Kadarshina. And rather, what do you have to say? We're just darshaning psukim. Hachanami Kroi Kadarshina. And here also, all we're doing is darshaning psukim in order to determine what was said b'dei Shamayim. We're not saying that we heard anything, so to speak, from Shamayim. And the Gemara continues, Gufa, returning to what we just said above, the statement of Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi. Amar Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi said, Shlosha devarim asu bezin shalmata v'yiskimu bezin shalmala yadim. There were three things that the earthly court did that the bezin shalmala agreed to. Elohein, and they are as follows. Mikra Megillah, the reading of the Megillah on Purim. Ushe'elas shalom b'shem, and when you greet a person, you greet with the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. One explanation of this is that the word shalom is the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'havas meiser, then the third one is the bringing of Meiser. And the Mefarish explains, V'havas Meiser kedamrinan b'Yavamas. Havas Meiser is like we say in Yavamas, to Ezra HaSofer, konsinu la'Leviim. Ezra HaSofer, he imposed a fine upon the Leviim. Lefi shelo alu imo, because they didn't go up with him to Eretz Yisrael. V'tziva lohavi kol ha'Meiser salishkas Beis Hashem. He instructed that all Meiser has to be brought to the treasury of the Beis HaMikdash. V'hayu ha'kohanim v'Leviim shavim b'Meiser Rishon. And the Kohanim and the Leviim, they would be equal in taking from the Meiser Rishon. And the Gemara continues and gives sources that hiskimu bezin shalmala, that the bezin shalmala agreed. Mikra Megillah, we see this by Mikra Megillah d'chsiv, because it's written kimu v'kiblu haYehudim, and we understand that to mean that kaimu lamala, they accepted above masha kiblu lamata, what was accepted down below. U'she'elas shalom, where do we see the idea of she'elas shalom with the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu d'chsiv, because it's written in the pasuk v'hinei Boaz bami Beis Lechem. This is a pasuk in Rus. Boaz came from Beis Lechem vayomer lakotzrim. He said to the kotzrim, Hashem imachem, Hashem is with you. He used Hashem's name. V'yomer, it also says, this is when the Malach spoke to Gidon, Hashem imcha gibor hachoyel. It says Hashem imcha again. He used the name of Hashem. That's in Sefer Shoftim. The Gemara says, "My v'yomer." What do you need a second pasuk for? Why do you need to bring that pasuk in Shoftim as a second source? Because v'chitema Boaz hu davin midaite. Maybe you'll say that Boaz was just doing that on his own. Umishmaya lo askimu al yadu. Maybe they didn't agree to him from Shamayim. Tashma. So come in here, v'yomer. It says in the pasuk in Sefer Shoftim, Hashem imcha gibor hachoyel. Again, that's from a malach. So you see that they agreed in Shamayim. And Havos Meiser, where do we see bringing the Meiser to the Beis HaMikdash treasury? That was something they agreed to, d'chsiv, because it's written in the pasuk. This is a pasuk in Malachi. The pasuk says, "Haviu es kol ha-Meiser el Beis HaOtzer." Bring all of the Meiser to the treasury. V'teref bevesi, there'll be food in my house. Uvechanuni na bezos. If you test me this way, Amar Hashem Tzavokos. Hashem says, "Im lo eftach lochem es arubos hashamayim." I'm going to open the windows of heaven. V'harikosi lochem bracha ad blidai, and I'm going to give you blessings, and I'm going to give you blessings that are not going to end. My ad blidai. What does it mean, ad blidai? Amar Rami Barav. Rami Barav says that what it means is ad sheyivlu sifsosechem milomar dai. There's going to be so much bracha that your lips are going to be weary from saying enough already. And the Gemara continues. Amar Rebbe Elazar says, "Begimel mekomos," in three places, Hofia ruach hakodesh. There was ruach hakodesh as follows: Bebezdino shel Shem, in the court of Shem, ubebezdino shel Shmuel haramasi, also in the court of Shmuel, ubebezdino shel Shlomo, and also in the court of Shlomo. And the Gemara explains, Bebezdino shel Shem, we see this by the court of Shem, because it's written, this is by the story of Yehuda and Tamar. It says, Vayaker Yehuda vayomer tzadka mimeni. It says Yehuda recognized and he said that she is correct, and he was essentially saying that she was impregnated by him. And so the Gemara says, Meno yada, well, how did he know? Dilma kiyechi da azal iu legava. Maybe just like he was with her, azal nami in a shachrina legava. Maybe there was another man that was with her. How do you know it really came from him? So it must be it came from Ruach HaKodesh. Yatzos baskol v'yamra. Baskel came out and said, Mimeni yatsu kevushim, from me came these secrets. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. Beis Dino shel Shmuel, we said that in the court of Shmuel also, there was Ruach HaKodesh, Tichsiv, because it's written, Hineni anu vi neged Hashem and neged Mishicho, as shor mi lakachti, said, it's true that I have not taken, isn't it true that I have not taken any of your oxen, I have not taken anything for myself. Vayomru, they said, Lo ashaktanu v'lo ratzosanu, that's true, you didn't act in a corrupt manner. Vayomer eid Hashem, he said, Hashem be witness, ve'eid Mishicho, ki lo mitzasam biyadim me'umah, that you didn't find anything wrong with me. Vayomer eid, and he said witness. And the problem over here is that it should be really the Klal Yisrael, that the people were responding to Shmuel. It shouldn't be that it was Vayomer in singular. So the Gemara says Vayomer. Why does it say Vayomer? Vayomru mi boile. It should say that they said, they responded. And so again, it's really the Baskol, it's really Ruach HaKodesh. Yotzas Baskol v'yomra, Baskol came out and said, Ani eid b'davar zeh, I am a witness in this matter. And finally, Beis Dino shel Shlomo, where do we see in the court of Shlomo that there was Ruach HaKodesh? Because it's written, Vayan HaMelech Vayomer, the king answered and said, Tenu lo es hayelet hachai v'hames lo semisu. He imo, Shlomo HaMelech knew who the mother was, the real mother was of the child. And so again, Mino Yada, how did he know? Dilma Yerume Mer Arma, maybe the woman was wise, she understood the test, and she understood what to say. And so again, the Gemara says, Yotzas Baskol, it must be that a Baskol came out, V'amr, and the Baskol said, He imo, this is the mother. But the Gemara challenges all of these in terms of the interpretation of the Pasuk. Amar Rava says, Mimai, how do you know that all of these Pasukim should be interpreted as Ruach HaKodesh? Dilma Yehuda, maybe when it came to Yehuda, Kaven dechash v'yarche v'yomi v'isrami dechazinon mechazkinon, lo chazinon, lo mechazkinon, maybe he did a calculation of how many months and days it was since he was with her. And so if we see that it was the right amount of time, mechazkinon, then we presume it came from him. If we don't see such a thing, you don't make such a presumption. The presumption is that it came from him. And Shmuel Nami, when it came to Shmuel as well, Kulu Yisrael Kari Luhu B'lashon Yechidi. Sometimes all of Klal Yisrael is referred to in the singular. Tichsiv, as it's written in the Pasuk, it says Yisrael no Shabashem. It says Yisrael, it's referring to Klal Yisrael. That's in Sefer Yeshayahu. And finally Shlomo Nami, and also when it came to Shlomo, maybe he really did know that this was the mother, Midaha Kamerachamta, from the fact that this one showed love to the child, V'halo Kamerachamta, the other one did not show that love, and so that's how he knew. And so the Gemara says, Ela rather, Gemara, it's just a tradition that this was known through Ruach HaKodesh, but it's not necessarily from the Psukim themselves. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. Darash Rabbi Simloi, Rabbi Simloi darshans. Sheish meyos u'shlosh esrei mitzvos nemru lo l'Moshe. There were 613 mitzvos that were said to Moshe. Shlosh meyos v'shishim v'chamesh lavin. There are 365 negative commandments. Kaminyan yemos achama, like the solar calendar, the amount of days in the solar calendar. Umasayim of yarboim u'shmona asay. And there are 248 positive commandments. Keneged evarev shel adam. They correspond to the amount of limbs that a person has. Amar Rav Hamnuna says, Ma'ikra, what's the pasuk that indicates this? It says, Torah tzivalanu Moshe mo rasha. It says that Moshe Rabbeinu gave us the Torah. Torah begematria, the gematria of the word Torah. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Chav Daled Amud Aleph.